Welcome everyone to another exciting episode of the Team Lead Talks podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Becker, out of Alexandria, Virginia. On today's episode, we have Marie Fleming joining us. Now, she is the founder of the Circle Consulting Group and a CEO of Goldbridge Capital Solutions. Welcome, Marie. How are you doing today?
Hi, nice to see you. I'm doing
All right,
fantastic.
Marie. Awesome. I had an awesome time on our connection call, kind of like a pre-episode thing that we did, getting to learn about you and who you are. But can you share with our listeners, those who might not know who Marie Fleming is, like who you are, what you do at a very high level before we jump into things here?
Sure, Andrew. Primarily, I think what I am is I just love to help the community and people. I have a high passion for finance and really for the real estate industry. I have a small firm in Sacramento, California. We help commercial transactions that happen. And with the Circle Consulting Group, what I do is I help business owners find financing and position themselves for acquisitions, either buying another business or raising capital for their own company. So it's
Very
an
cool.
exciting world.
Yeah. How did you get into that? Can you give us a little bit about your like the backstory there? How you got into the commercial real estate and then your consulting business?
Like most people in the industry, I started off in residential lending quite some time ago. And I happened to meet these people that ended up being friends of mine, and they were in the commercial real estate space. And I just loved it. I mean, it just sparked something in me. Residential happens to be very emotionally driven. It's a very emotional purchase. And commercial was really, taking yourself to the next level, making sense number wise, it had to make sense as far as what you were trying to accomplish and do. So it just really resonated with me, and here I am still.
Very cool. So just to be clear, you were on the when you went from residential to commercial, you mentioned residential lending. Were you a commercial broker and lender or just lender? Like how did you make that transition?
Yeah, I was a lender then and I'm a lender now. And I like to be on this side. Maybe in the future I'll get into the other side of being a real estate agent, but right now I'm the number gal. So
Okay, cool. You're the behind the scenes numbers person crunching everything together.
yeah. And the quirkier, the better. So I'm blessed to have a great team that helps me out, and we sit down and try to figure things out and put the pieces of the
Very
puzzle
cool.
together. Yeah.
That's interesting to me. I've interviewed commercial brokers, obviously residential and wholesalers, but I don't know if I think you might be the first commercial lender. I'd be interested, like, can you give us a high level overview of like I'm in need of a commercial broker. Like, what do you look for? Who are your customers? Like, what is the entry level conversation with a new customer for you kind of look like, Marie?
I think the best way to get started in that description is, how do I find my clients? And what I do is I go out and target a lot of banks and get bank declines and develop relationships with them. I'm also very community driven. So if someone doesn't fit a particular mold, then I end up seeing that client. And what I like
Hmm.
to do is I really guide them along and say, okay, here's what you have going for you. Here's what you don't have going for you. Let's find a way to fix it. So, and I think that's really what makes me different, is that I take the time to really get to know my clients and really handhold and help them along. So, and then I send them back to the bank. Okay, I'm like, okay, now you can now you can qualify for a paper and you can go out and do what you need to do, right? So,
Yeah, yeah. You
yeah.
mentioned bank declines. Obviously, I don't want to assume, but is that when someone applies for a loan to purchase commercial real estate and gets declined in their application, and then you kind of step in? Okay. How do you get that information? You're pulling it directly from the banks, or is that publicly available?
No, it's not publicly available. I develop the relationships with the banks and
Okay,
say,
cool.
yeah, I go to them and say, hey, if you have a client that you were unable to help, but you see that there's a way for them to move forward, let me talk to them. No pressure. Just have a conversation and let's see if we can help them out, because sometimes they're pretty close to a transaction, but the bank has their own set of criteria and I
Yeah.
have my own set of criteria, right? So uh,
So your customers or the people applying for these loans, are these developers? Are they people who own a portfolio of commercial spaces, or are they business owners wanting to use that space for their business, or a combination of both? Who do you normally work with?
yeah, a combination of both. I don't have a problem with working with people that are just starting out. A lot of times it is a smaller mom and pop company that comes to me and says, "Hey, the person that I'm leasing the building from came to me and said, I want to, asked me if I wanted to purchase the building, and I'd be interested in doing that." And I guide them along. Or, sometimes it is someone a little bit savvier with a portfolio of different products that they have. So
Cool.
different
Okay.
buildings.
So I've always been kind of fascinated by this, and I'll self admit, like, I've never purchased commercial real estate. I don't think I have ever. Like, can you walk me through? Like, I know how to look at numbers for a residential flip, a wholesale listing, but walk us through like the differences or the subtleties or the nuances of what you do as a commercial lender when you're looking, crunching numbers, so to say, or so to speak, on any building.
Yeah, it doesn't really work that way. It kind of the way I like to really hone in is I'll ask them, like, how much money do you have down? What are you trying to accomplish? Is the building that you're buying, are you going to have another tenant in there? And I ask all these qualifying questions for the reason being is that then I know what type of product to really guide them into, right? Anywhere from SBA that might be, a product that they can get into, or, maybe some alternative lending space, which, is referred to more like hard money and private money,
Yeah.
So that's usually the way I approach it. The
Okay.
building the building itself is going to matter. Each transaction's different, like multifamily, you want to be attentive to the rent roll, how many tenants are in the multifamily property that you're trying to buy. Those are different things that you're going to look at, in each transaction, but it really starts with the client. What are they looking at? Is it realistic? If not, guide them into knowing what's really out there and available, because the market changes all the time, right?
Yeah.
So just like you would with a fix and flip, things change all the time. Sometimes the market's a little bit more lenient, it just always varies, right?
Okay. Is
Yeah.
there a like I actually don't know how this works. So I know you can get like uh on the residential side, you can get there's products that allow you to get into a home for 3.5% down or 3% down, or the normal mortgage of 20% down. What is it like on the commercial side?
For me, it does require more money down anytime that it's an investment. Same thing with residential. You're going to look at putting 20% down, right? That's just industry standard that you're going to do that. Same thing with commercial. You need to be prepared to put a little bit more money down typically, unless you have some sort of relationship with a banking lender. That they can negotiate something internally, but typically I don't see that type of stuff. So, I guide them along and say, okay, it's going to take 25% down for you to buy this, 60 unit multifamily
Yeah.
property, and yeah.
Very cool. So that's the Gold Coast. You're CEO of Gold Coast. What's the circle? Can you explain like what that is? Is that consulting around kind of the same stuff or a little bit different? Can we dive into that?
Yeah, it is my consulting side. As I was doing commercial real estate, I really saw a need for people to, they needed to raise money. At times they were tight on payroll or needed to buy some equipment for their business. And that can be a range of different things from computers to maybe they're a restaurant and they need to buy kitchen equipment and things like that. So the circle focuses on making sure a company is balanced, right? Yeah. So if they need money for something internal, maybe taxes, payroll, to buy some additional equipment, to expand, we help them out internally in that aspect. So
Okay, cool.
yeah, and I
That's
wanted to separate the two, you know?
yeah. I was just gonna say it sounds like they're very separate, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So let's go back to the commercial real estate side of things for a second. So you're helping put together these loans and are you also kind of like consulting your clients on the right product to use and the approach to use and then helping them get funds for a down payment if necessary?
Not at this time. Usually that's kind of like a JV structure where you might have another partner come in if they're short on down payment, you know, they can do that. But the exciting thing is I'm actually in negotiations with someone to be able to do that for the first time for clients. So that'll be very exciting. We'll see where that relationship ends up. And
Yeah.
I've been heavily in negotiations with them. So, you know, let's see where it goes.
Well, fingers crossed for you. I'll have to have you back on so you can tell us,
Yeah.
when that goes through. So what is, I'm very familiar with, again, potential happenings in the industry, but what's going on in commercial right now? Like, just from me seeing where I am in my area, I see a ton of empty commercial high rises and buildings and a lot. I'm in Alexandria, Virginia, and we're
Yeah.
actually seeing it's strange. Love to get your take on just like commercial in general, but I'm seeing a lot of commercial buildings get converted into condominiums or apartment buildings. So what is the status in today's world and economy of like commercial writ large?
I think a lot of things that we're seeing right now are the after effect of COVID. For example, office spaces have been a very fickle asset right now. A lot of people want to continue to work remote, even though companies are pushing for employees to get back into into the workspace. A lot of people prefer to work remote. And I think you're seeing, all over the United States, still a lot of office spaces, sitting there unoccupied.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
And are
So
they
that's
just priced too high? And are you seeing prices coming down yet, or kind of the owners sticking with whatever they're asking their list prices? Like what's happening? Are you just seeing longer, on market days, or what's actually happening on the boots hit the ground kind of thing?
with different asset types. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, just the commercial buildings that you kind of see. Are you seeing like longer times listed for sale? And if so, is that because they're priced too high and they're just not like dropping yet? Kind of like a lot of people are holding to some certain like list prices for their homes and it's not selling. What's happening in the commercial side of things?
I think it's all over the board, right? So it really depends on what asset type it is. So you still have your popular properties that go right away. For example, storage units, industrial is really hot in this region. We still see a lot of growth going on. There's a huge expansion. Office space and retail are a little fickle right now, and I think that we'll continue to see that through 2026. It'll be interesting to see what happens. But in my region, there's a lot of building going on. There's still a lot of expansion. I don't really see the market really slowing down very much.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So, Marie, if another question I did have, are you only doing this in California or do you do this nationwide as well?
I do this nationwide. There's still a few particular states we won't really do any business in. New York and Nevada are two of the states that we don't do any business in. But yeah, larger the region,
Curiosity, is there a specific reason why?
they just require different licensing, and different
Okay.
states have different criteria. They might require a brick and mortar location there, like the state of Nevada. They want you to physically be there instead of remote. And other
Mm,
states are more welcoming, like Texas and Florida, they welcome outside lenders.
gotcha. Very cool. Well, Marie,
Yeah.
this has been awesome. Getting to learn a little bit more about your business. If anyone listening wants to reach out to you and talk commercial lending or consulting services with you, how does somebody find you? How do they talk to you?
You can either go online and look up Goldbridge Capital Solutions or reach out to me directly at.
Very cool. And we will include Marie's contact information and her website in the description of this episode. So look below if you want to reach out to Marie. Marie, it's been really fun learning about what you have going on. Any parting words of wisdom for the commercial people out there listening today?
Take your time and really know what you're asking for and what you want, but really take the time to overview the transaction and work with someone that you really trust.
Well said. Very cool. Well, thanks for being on the show. It's good seeing you again.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, I had a great time. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Bye.